So as a guitar player, I grew up idolizing the traditional aspect of guitar. I love my classic traditional guitar shapes. They are the sounds of all the records I grew up listening to and the visual aspect of all of my favorite guitar players. I went about collecting my favorite variations of each of these classic shapes over the years, and then I got to a point in my guitar playing where I started looking for something a little bit different and starting to think outside of the traditional box about what I, as a guitar player, would want. And now I found a guitar that I think is really inspiring and also offers a vintage retro vibe, but being quite different. In this video, we're going to be checking this guitar out. This is the B&G Guitars Crossroads series Little Sister. So B&G Guitars are a company that are based out of Israel, and a lot of the stuff they're building in Israel is their high-end custom shop stuff, which, if you're realistic, is probably going to set you back a minimum of about $3,000, and then it's going to go up from there. They are incredible instruments, and if you have the budget and the capacity to get your hands on one, I would absolutely recommend checking one out. What I have here is something from their Crossroads line. Now, I'm not going to use the term budget friendly because this is still a pricey instrument. These are still retailing at around the $1,500 mark, depending on where you get your guitars from. So they're not an entry-level priced guitar, but they're significantly cheaper than the Israel-made custom shop models. These are actually produced in China, and even though they are produced in China, because there's still a stigma around guitars made there, these are incredible instruments. Very well made, very well put together. They play fantastic. And honestly, I really think the stigma around guitars made in China is kind of a thing of the past. So in this video, we're going to be checking out this thing and seeing what it does. Before we do that, I want to let you guys know that this is not a sponsored video today. B&G Guitars are not paying me to make this video, but they have provided me very kindly with this little sister. After a bit of back and forth with the guys at B&G to try and figure out what my perfect fit would be, we came up with this one for a variety of reasons, which I'll talk about in this video as well. So yeah, we're going to check this thing out today. As always, all the thoughts and opinions in the video are my own. So, the Little Sister is, at a first glance, a single cut style guitar. But what this isn't is a Les Paul. So the guitar I'm holding, as I said, is the Little Sister from their Crossroads line. Now, what this guitar does really well is it captures this really amazing retro vintage sort of feel and sound, but without being a direct kind of clone of anything else. Now, obviously, at first glance, it's a single cut, so it's easy to think Les Paul, but actually the construction of this is very, very different because it's actually a semi-hollow guitar. So realistically, construction-wise, it's more like a 335 because it's semi-hollow with a center block, but we've got a set of P90s on it, which kind of leans you towards like an ES330 or a Casino sort of vibe, but with a smaller body, like a Les Paul kind of size. It's actually a bit more like a parlor guitar size, I guess. So it's kind of an interesting blend of a few different styles of guitar, and I think that's really cool because that kind of gives it its own tonal signature. You can't really say it sounds like a Les Paul or it sounds like a 335. It kind of just sounds like what it is. I've got the P90 loaded one, but it's also available with humbuckers. So the finish on this is a finish known as Midnight Ocean. I mean, as you can see, it's basically a super high gloss black. It's a really well applied finish. It's super even all the way over, which is lovely. And even though, as you can see, the reflection of the lights in the camera, black guitars, especially glossy black guitars, are a real pain to film. But when they showed me a couple of the color options, there was just something about this I really liked. I like the simplicity of just the black and the gold, so I went with this one, even though I kind of knew it was going to be a bit of a nightmare on camera. And also, this attracts fingerprints like you would not believe. So if there are fingerprints on the guitar during the video, please accept my apologies for that. The Midnight Ocean finish is nicely complemented by this reveal binding as well. I'm a big fan of reveal binding because you get a nice little bit of wood character showing through as well. So what we have here is a maple top, and it's solid wood as well, so there's no kind of composites or plies used in any of their stuff. It's a solid maple cap with mahogany back and sides, and the center block inside is also mahogany. We've got a pair of P90s, which are B&G's own kind of designed pickups, and these are in gold-plated brass alloy covers. So again, they're kind of really leaning into this vintage thing here. They use a lot of brass in their builds. The tailpiece is also gold-plated brass. We have a three-way pickup switch, a master volume, and a master tone. The other cool thing to notice on this guitar is that these F-holes, you can actually see it really good there if I actually use the reflection to my advantage, is that they're backwards. And this was actually done as kind of an error. When they were sketching out a guitar many years ago, someone just drew the F-holes the wrong way around, and that kind of just became their thing. So all B&G guitars have these reverse F-holes now. It's kind of a B&G stylistic thing that you're going to see on all their instruments. The fretboard on this is Mexican Royal Ebony, and this sits on top of a mahogany neck. Scale-wise, this is a 24 3/4 inch scale, so pretty familiar if you're used to playing single cut style guitars. We have a 12-inch radius fretboard, but you'll notice, interestingly, the fretboard only has 20 frets. Now, that can be a deal breaker for some people because some people really like playing at the high end of the fretboard. There is actually a companion guitar to this called the Step Sister. It's sort of the same vibe, but there's a few little spec tweaks, and that one actually has better upper fret access as well. This one has a really prominent neck heel, which starts around the 12th fret and obviously runs all the way up. So the upper fret access, when you're playing right up here, your hand is very much full of the neck heel. So if you kind of require a lot of space at the top end, there are probably other guitars in the B&G range that would work better for you. If, like me, you're not too bothered by that kind of thing and you just want a guitar that's got a really cool vibe, then this is fine. I actually don't find it too difficult to play up there because I do have quite big hands. So keep that in mind, and obviously, if you can, play one first just to make sure that neck fits what you need. Also, speaking of the neck, this is quite a chunky neck. It's definitely got that kind of vintage vibe. It's, it really fills the hand up. And actually, profile-wise, it's unlike anything I've ever owned before because it's actually a soft V. Now, typically with a neck profile, you have a C or a D profile, which just kind of curves over in a smooth way. A V profile kind of comes up to a point and then down again, so you can feel this really apparent ridge at the top where the two sides of the V meet. A soft V is kind of in the middle where it comes up, then there's a curve on the top and then down, so you can actually feel where the sort of peak of the neck is. Probably my favorite thing about this guitar is this slotted headstock. I've always been a fan of slotted headstocks. I love the way they look visually. I just think they've got a really cool, nice retro character. And we've got this B&G crest stuck on the front of the headstock as well. The slotted headstocks are a little bit more difficult to restring, but we can kind of forgive that for the way they look. And then on the sides, we've got these really cool B&G Delta tuners. I love the way that the headstock looks. That's actually one of my favorite things about the guitar. And also one of the biggest differences. So that about wraps it up spec-wise. So I'm going to plug this thing in now so we can hear some of the sounds. So gear-wise, I've got the B&G Guitars Little Sister going into the Blackstar Studio 10 6L6. The amp is running completely clean, and that's going via the 2 Notes Torpedo Captor X. For some overdrive, which I'm going to be using later on in the video, I've got the Stoll Mullet Drive, which is kind of a mid-rangey amp-like overdrive. So we'll use that later on in the video. So we're going to start with some clean tones. There's 3 pickup positions to this: bridge pickup, both on, and neck pickup. So I'm just going to play a little bit clean and move through the 3 pickup positions. So you can definitely hear the vintage vibe of this guitar, even just with the clean sound. That bridge pickup's got a really nice bite to it, so even when you're playing with a clean amp, the amp's turned up quite loud, so it's kind of on the verge of breakup. As you dig in, you do get some quite nice aggressive sounds, especially for single note blues stuff. You can almost push that to breakup just by digging in. And then when you play soft, so they're very dynamic pickups, and then that neck pickup just has this real nice smoothness to it. So now I'm going to come over to the mullet drive and turn that on. This is like an amp-like mid-range heavy overdrive. I've got it set quite low on the gain just to stick with the kind of bluesy nature of this guitar. So I'm just going to play a bit more now, and you're going to hear the 3 pickup positions with the overdrive. So obviously what this guitar does really well is those lower gain bluesy tones. What you can do is you can crank the gain, and these P90s can handle it. So I'm going to turn the gain up to about 3/4 of the way now. That was on about 1/4 of the way up previously. Now obviously the first thing we're going to hear is a lot of noise, because P90 pickups are single coils. They are prone to hum and buzz when you do play with high gain. But here's how this guitar sounds with some high gain if you are going to use it for that. So it actually handles gain really well because, I mean, obviously it's designed with more of the vintage aesthetic and the vintage tone in mind, but when you push these things, they can actually get quite nasty. That bridge pickup handles gain really well. The neck pickup goes, and that's a combination of this pedal as well that I'm using. It almost goes into like a fuzz territory, which is a really interesting sound because it's not really what I would expect this guitar to be able to do, but it can do it. There is also a humbucker version of this guitar. So obviously if you're someone who's looking to push the gain a little bit more, the humbucker version is probably going to give you a bit more of what you need. But I am personally a P90 man and I love the vibe of P90s, so that's what I went for. But yeah, there you go. There is the B&G Guitars Crossroads series Little Sister. Let me know what you guys think of this thing down below in the comments. I really like this, and this is going to be a guitar that you're going to be seeing a lot of on the channel because I just really connect with it. I think there's a really cool vibe to it. It inspires me to play, which I think is a big part in any guitar. Being inspired to pick it up and play it is so important, and this guitar definitely does that for me. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this thing down below in the comments. If you've tried anything from the B&G line, I'd love to hear your experiences with the brand as well. Let me know what you've played and what you thought of it. And if you end up getting your hands on one of these, I'd love to hear your feedback on this as well. Let me know everything down below in the comments. While you're doing that, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and there's some links in the description where you can check out B&G Guitars, so please go hit those links as well. Check out what these guys are doing. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I'll see you soon.